the Joker, the character of the Joker, was just too good to turn down. I've said this before, but if Tim Burton was doing The Dark Knight and asked me to play the Joker, I wouldn't.
How exactly did Heath Ledger transform into the infamous Joker in The Dark Knight? Prior to his untimely demise, Heath discussed the immense challenges, creative risks, and emotional burden of portraying one of cinema's most renowned villains. Come explore Ledger's set adventure with us as we reveal the truth about his iconic performance and its enduring influence on Hollywood and fans across the world. Heath Ledger did more than the average actor to prepare for his role as the Joker in Batman. The Dark Knight. Beyond simply studying lines and practicing sequences, his words gave listeners a fresh perspective on what it takes to fully immerse themselves in a role. Heath essentially worked on creating the Joker's mentality by himself after locking himself in a room. Just practicing wasn't cutting it. You had to bring your A-game. Heath spent weeks alone in a motel room, disconnected from society. The plan was for him to dissect his own ideas and reassemble them as the Joker's. Envision yourself spending each day in alone, allowing your thoughts to roam to wild and twisted places. You wouldn't only be assuming the mentality of someone with a very disorienting and unconventional worldview. Heath Ledger wanted more than simply an on-screen part to fully become the Joker. During this period, Heath maintained what was formerly known as a Joker diary. It wasn't your average notepad. This book had a great deal of bizarre and even terrifying notes, drawings, and scribbles. The Joker's wacky ideas, speech mannerisms, and thoughts were all documented by him. It was as if Heath had written a window into the wacky psyche of the Joker. To better comprehend the character's irrationality and unpredictability, Heath found this book to be quite useful. They were no longer only playing, they were peeping into an entirely other realm. Why did Heath go to such lengths? He reasoned that the only way to give the Joker personality and depth was to assume his role. The acting, in his opinion, was inadequate. If the Joker were any other villain, the role would be difficult to remember. It would be a strong and realistic on-screen performance if he could channel the Joker's insane side. In method acting, the actor strives to embody the role physically and mentally. Heath was motivated because he knew the effort would be well worth it. However, this exploration of the Joker's psyche was not without its price. Immersed in something like this for so long was exhausting, Heath noted afterwards. It altered his mood and perspective during filming. He was sick of dealing with the Joker's twisted, deranged ideas on a daily basis. Sometimes he felt too much of the character's wacky energy, and he had problems sleeping. The more he adopted the Joker's mentality, the more difficult it became for him to return to his authentic self. As time went on, Heath's warnings regarding method acting became crystal evident. It's a powerful instrument, but abusing it to excess can have disastrous health consequences. He was forthright in discussing the impact on his mental health of this ordeal, proving that method acting is more than a passing fad. It is a very demanding profession. Although Heath was aware of the potential dangers, he felt he had no choice if he wanted to revive the Joker. The unseen work that goes into anything by being forthright about the dangers exposed it. The Joker went from being a generic villain to a genuine character who audiences continued to think about after the credits rolled because of this unwavering commitment. On the other hand, Heath's method acting made this character unforgettable and sparked several anecdotes about the set. Did it truly seem as gloomy and terrifying as everyone imagined? For many, Heath's opinions on the matter would come as a shock. Following our discussion of Heath Ledger's method acting and the emotional toll it had on him, the next natural question is, What did Heath really say during filming The Dark Knight? Lots of people stated it was cursed and eerie, but was anything else happening? Keep reading to discover out Heath's full confession on the true vibe on set of The Dark Knight. Regarding the Dark Knight setting, Ledger had these things to say. Word on the set of The Dark Knight, in which Heath Ledger played the Joker, spread like wildfire. Following the actor and his character about like shadows, some thought the set was haunted or cursed due to the constant presence of evil. The movie already appeared bizarre before these revelations, but Heath Ledger knew the truth before he passed away. According to him, the filming did not involve any eerie or ghostly elements. The actors and crew weren't being pursued by any specters or spells. The set wasn't some mystical or terrifying location. It was just a place where people worked together to create a fantastic film. According to Heath, the set was both demanding and polished. The objective of bringing a well-known narrative and its characters to life was accomplished by everyone there via collaboration. On set, everyone took themselves seriously, since that was what the tale required. The significance of their work and the concepts presented in the film were greatly appreciated. Behaving seriously, albeit burdensome at times, was an integral aspect of the work. There was no demonic presence controlling or haunting the location. Rather, it was only the adrenaline and pressure of filming an epic film. The presence of the Joker brought about a distinct vibe. Indeed, the persona embodies the very essence of chaos, frightening, unexpected, and distressing. The atmosphere on set shifted, according to Heath, since his acting gave the moments a darker tone. But the gloom wasn't brought about by any otherworldly or terrifying forces. Rather, it was Heath's masterful performance and unwavering commitment to the role. The ensemble had to figure out how to handle the Joker's ability to cause mayhem, since no one else could. There was a lot of tension since everyone had to be on high alert to deal with Heath's unexpected energy. Still, it wasn't anything out of the ordinary. It was only creative energy. A large portion of Heath's crew and cast felt the same way. Actor Christian Bale, who played Batman, spoke about the tight-knit crew. Bale spoke highly of Heath's abilities and dedication, noting that their collaboration was intense and concentrated without ever being hindered by concerns or complaints. Michael Caine, a major player in the group, acknowledged that the atmosphere was charged, but he maintained that it was grounded on mutual regard, collaboration, and originality. The whole crew was really committed to their work, and they all pulled together to get through the long days of filming and the difficult sequences. There was no room for fear on this set. Instead, it served as a catalyst for incredible creations. Everyone in the group agreed that Heath was the one that really turned up the energy in the room. During his time there, everyone gave it their all, and they succeeded. They were just hard-working experts on a challenging task. They weren't commanding any supernatural or terrifying entities. The powerful performance by Heath altered the atmosphere, which added to its memorability. Great acting, not a ghost story, was the point. Heath was also aware that news outlets had a penchant for exaggerating events. The set was the subject of several terrifying rumors in the media, including claims that curses were reported to surround it, and that it was extremely gloomy. Attempting to set the record straight, Heath understood this to be false. It was really simply a bunch of hard-working individuals, as he knew the truth to be. Because of the falsehoods, the picture exuded an air of secrecy, but Heath was determined that audiences should learn the truth. What really drew viewers in were the plot and the performers, not the production values. These points, when made explicit, enable to distinguish between reality and fiction. Understanding how Heath Ledger and his crew made the Joker appear so genuine and terrifying in a real but intense environment is the true problem, since that we know the set wasn't haunted. Being forthright in this way demonstrates that competence and effort triumph over myths and legends. The Joker's character unquestionably impacted people's emotions, despite the set being very professional. The persona was fascinating and full of surprises, since Heath was not afraid to experiment and be innovative. Because Heath was always full of life and could improvise on the go, they had to be prepared for anything. The film's distinctive drama and intensity were aided by this dynamic. That brings up a crucial issue regarding Heath's work. He went above and beyond the call of duty. What the Joker is now is a product of his own mind and the courageous decisions he took. From applying his own makeup to improvising crucial moments on the go, Heath was in control of the Joker's appearance and behavior. The result was a persona that was both distinct and completely insane. One of the things that set the film apart was his freedom to express himself creatively. Speculation circulated that the set had an enigmatic darkness about it. What gave it its gloomy tone, though, were Heath's astute but potentially disastrous acting choices. His ambition to remain the Joker altered the atmosphere, yet it was entirely human and not spectral. How creativity, pressure, and perseverance combined to create cinematic enchantment is shown by the set's actual atmosphere. The next section delves into Heath's creative process, revealing how he fashioned The Dark Knight with his unique flair and fearless improvisations, resulting in a groundbreaking film that revolutionized the superhero genre. Heath Ledger's surprising transformation of the Joker is an experience you won't want to miss. Upon completing his role as the Joker, Heath Ledger did more than merely follow the tale. His remarkable ability to embody the role as his own surprised everyone, including the director, on site. Many of Heath's most memorable experiences, he noted, did not unfold according to his plans while filming. The Joker's uncertain and insane nature came from his quick judgments, which gave him an existence that felt terrifyingly genuine. The sequence with the pencil trick is one of Heath's most famous unplanned moments. In the film, the Joker destroys a pencil as part of a horrific and disturbing plot point. That plot point was not in our original plans. To surprise the onlookers and fellow performers, Heath made it up as he went along. Christopher Nolan decided to keep the maneuver in the film because he enjoyed it so much. Its abruptness and severity reflected the Joker's insane demeanor. Because of their recklessness, the individual gave the impression that they were very unstable. The scene of the explosion at the hospital is another. To throw everyone off their guard, Heath decided to detonate the bomb before it was supposed to. The genuine expressions of terror and amazement were what he was after. The scene became much more interesting and engaging after this minor adjustment. Here we can see how Heath's concepts elevated the film. His choices added an air of authenticity and spontaneity. They weren't staged. The Joker's distinctive laugh, a combination of terrifying noises that were instantly recognizable, was another creation of Heath's. He tried not to chuckle in the same manner every time. It served as a means of conveying the character's insanity without using words. Because Heath's speech pattern became a trademark, the Joker had an eerie air about him. Because of this chuckle, the Joker became famous among criminals. Heath painstakingly applied his own makeup to create the illusion of the Joker. Heath was opposed to having the Joker's face painted by a professional. Instead, he aimed for the impression that it had been done by a lunatic. To make it appear like the Joker was shouting, he applied the sloppy black and white paint around the eyes himself. This decision reveals that Heath genuinely wanted complete control over the persona. On set, Heath was always the one to go above and above to make things seem and sound terrifyingly realistic. He had no qualms about behaving and thinking in ways that other creative types would find odd. The movie became much more dramatic as a result, elevating the tension and significance of the scenes. Because he was so courageous, Heath's harsh, dangerous personality was hard to overlook or forget. With Christopher Nolan's help, Heath Ledger brought the Joker's darker side to life. They collaborated to incorporate Heath's spontaneous scenes into the predetermined storyline. Thus, the plot remained consistent, while still allowing for unexpected turns. Let Heath investigate the Joker's mayhem because Nolan had faith in his judgment. Because of them, the Joker became more than simply a villain. His unpredictable nature made him incredibly captivating to audiences. To keep the Joker's erratic tone throughout the film, Heath had to wing it. The Joker wasn't only a persona, he embodied anarchy and craziness in every way he departed from the plan. The fact that Heath never stopped surprising the audience made the Joker seem like he could pull off any stunt imaginable. The audience was on the edge of their seats the whole time due to the unpredictable plot twists and Heath's amazing performance. The key to capturing the Joker's spirit wasn't sticking to a script, but rather being open to whatever came next. Creativity and a disregard for convention are the keys to success, as Heath demonstrated. Heath had a terrible time with the Joker because he had to make up lines as he went along. He stays in your mind even after the movie has ended. Here, we witnessed how Heath's fearless creativity and spontaneous scenes contributed to the Joker's legendary status. What did Heath give up because he was so committed? How did the process of resurrecting the Joker affect his mental and physical health? We'll go even farther into the personal toll that this job took on Heath Ledger. Continue reading to discover the true price of becoming the Joker. Playing the Joker was more than it seemed. Heath Ledger paid a heavy price for it. The inability to get any rest while filming The Dark Knight was a major challenge for him. His mind was always racing with dark and confused ideas about the Joker, which made it hard for him to sleep. It was more than a byproduct of playing a difficult persona. It integrated into his emotional experience. Keeping the Joker up for extended periods of time allowed Heath to sustain his erratic and restless demeanor. Although most individuals require sleep to maintain equilibrium, Heath was so exhausted that he transformed into the Joker, erasing the distinction between actor and character. He went so far as to say that there were instances when the lack of sleep actually served to enhance his energy and vitality rather than depress him. This strategy improved his performance, but it was psychologically and physically taxing for him. Envision yourself devoting yourself fully to your art form after going days without sleep. That's exactly what Heath was up to, which demonstrates how physically and psychologically taxing it was to play the Joker. Striking a balance between these emotional ups and downs and the pressures of producing a big Hollywood picture was really difficult. Heath had to keep up with his co-stars, deal with the film's immense success, and provide powerful performances, all while his mind was on the brink of collapse. Suffering through that is difficult to fathom. The fact that he is so forthcoming about this battle shows how porous the line is between art and health. He remained ensnared by the Joker's character even after the cameras stopped recording. His body and mind weren't the only ones affected by this deep plunge. His personal life and relationships were also negatively affected. His loved ones could see he wasn't acting normally. Because of the role's emotional demands, he had trouble letting go and connecting with others. The toll of dealing with mood swings, staying up late, and working long hours was substantial. Despite his devotion for his work, these sacrifices had a profound impact on him. In the face of seemingly insurmountable obstacles, there is always an unsung hero who manages to pull off an incredible feat. There was a risk of injury if Heath continued to push himself beyond his limits. He admitted that an actor's mental health may be jeopardized if he or she were to portray a mentally unstable character without proper assistance. Not to go overboard, he said. Instead, strike a balance between being creative and taking care of yourself. Even now, that lesson is crucial. He told it like it was, stress and sleeplessness being his biggest problems. Heath revealed the price of being a great actor by being open about his problems. The invisible suffering and sacrifice that goes into bringing characters to life is brought to light by his experience, which serves as a reminder that the process isn't always glamorous. Thanks to his candor, we get a better sense of Heath Ledger as a person and an artist. Knowing how profoundly it impacted him enhances the impact of his performance. Because the boundary between role and self may be so porous in creative professions, it also initiates vital discussions on mental health. Not only did Heath face difficulties, but so did others. The production as a whole and all of its participants felt the emotional impact of the Joker. It influenced the dynamics of the set and continued to have an impact even after filming had ended. What were the opinions of his co-stars? Just how did they back him up? When it came to taking care of artists, what did the production learn? What follows is an examination of Heath's interactions with his co-stars and the crew, illuminating their mutual respect, cooperation, and camaraderie as they faced the Joker's evil side by side. You'll get a glimpse of the crew's triumph over one of the most difficult sets ever. This is a pivotal part of The Dark Knight, so let's go into it. Even though he was portraying the Joker in The Dark Knight, Heath Ledger kept his relationships with his co-stars and the production crew very active and intense. Even if playing such a sinister character would make Heath feel alone, he made it plain that this wasn't the case. All of the members of the film's brilliant and dedicated team worked closely with him. The chemistry between Heath and Christian Bale, who played Batman, was a common topic of conversation. They were respectful of one another and knew that playing Batman and the Joker were like playing two halves of a coin. Trust was essential for balancing their respective roles. They knew their on-screen clashes had to be intense and full of life, so they challenged each other to create compelling sequences. Christian impressed Heath with his professionalism and competence in the post. Michael Caine's performance as Alfred was also crucial to Heath's time on set. Amid the anarchy caused by the Joker, Michael's steady, composed demeanor served as a stabilizing effect, and Heath appreciated this. Laughter and wise counsel from Michael helped ease nerves during days of extended filming. With Heath and the rest of the ensemble supported by such a steady, experienced performer, it was a relief. Even during the most emotionally draining situations, everyone on set supported one another. The actors and crew worked together to handle the task of bringing a dark and complicated narrative to life, as Heath pointed out. They were supportive, encouraging, and allowed each other room to grow. The Joker's unpredictability was challenging at times, but it also encouraged concentration and teamwork. Heath thought the film benefited from this cooperative setting. Considering the mental and physical toll his job had on him, Heath was very appreciative of this support system. Having supportive connections on site was a huge assistance while he was under pressure, he said. He was comfortable enough to try new things and take chances with his co-workers since they were both professional and kind. Despite delving into the depths of the Joker's mind, he was never truly alone. Heath did concede, though, that there were difficulties associated with the group dynamic. There was a certain tension that arose from the Joker's unpredictable energy and impromptu lines, but in the end, it helped the co-stars deliver better performances. Every scenario felt more real and dramatic because of this tug-of-war. Even when confronted with heavy, unpleasant subject matter, his story shows that artists may triumph through mutual regard and collaboration. Heath's testimony highlights how the film The Dark Knight was about more than simply a crazy bad guy. It was also about a group of hard-working artists coming together to make cinematic magic. After learning about Heath's personal and professional relationships on set, the tale shifts to his last thoughts on playing the Joker, including his artistic and personal views on the character, as well as its significance to him before to his tragic death. The part that characterized Heath Ledger's career was the subject of his final remarks. Let's find out more about them. Playing the Joker was more than just another acting job for Heath Ledger. It was the zenith of his career and the most demanding part he had ever performed. Heath defined the Joker as a person of profound complexity and noir brilliance in his farewell interviews. He saw more than a crazy villain in the Joker. He saw a multifaceted, conflicting force that reflected the human condition. Heath intended for the Joker to represent more than just a comic book device. He wanted him to mirror the shadow side of human nature and stand for societal anarchy. He took great pride in the depth he infused into the character. Heath spent a lot of time and energy making the Joker a real-life danger, so he went beyond his comedic roots. In his last remarks, Heath hoped that his performance would be remembered for more than just his technical prowess. He hoped that it would urge audiences to reevaluate their ideas of good and evil, order and chaos, morality and insanity. It is tragic that Heath passed away so soon after primary photography wrapped. After his death, the post-production process was overshadowed by grief among the actors and crew who had dedicated themselves to the character. Both the public's interest in the picture and his performance were heightened by his untimely death, which added a poignancy to its premiere. The actor's portrayal of the Joker became synonymous with the character for audiences and directors. The extent to which Heath had become one with the character and the toll such fusion may take was brought to light by his open observations on the process and its toll. Now that Heath was no longer involved, the crew had to make tough decisions in order to finish the film in his honor. His last performance was a moving tribute to his sacrifice and an expression of his immense talent. Since then, Heath's close associates have gushed about how he brought an electric energy to every scene. They were saddened by his passing, but grateful to have seen an acting debut that changed the game for villains in film. Listeners and producers learnt more about the guy behind the makeup, an artist who risked a lot and paid a heavy price, because Heath was open about his troubles. Heath Ledger's post-mortem admissions and his impact from The Dark Knight are still reverberating among fans and filmmakers. The level of emotional nuance and story depth in superhero flicks was elevated by his portrayal of the Joker. Significant work frequently demands significant personal cost, and the most unforgettable characters arise from artists ready to push themselves to the brink. As Heath's journey reveals the blood, sweat, and sleepless nights behind the scenes. Having covered Heath's last remarks and the ripple effect his passing had on those close to him, we may move on to his lasting influence on Hollywood. We will then discuss how the film pays tribute to Heath and how viewers are still moved by his portrayal. Keep watching as we unveil the profound impact of a performance that will go down in film history as one of the most memorable. Much obliged for your time. Like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth looks into Heath Ledger's Dark Knight journey if you loved them. The next video will be on your screen shortly. Click it.